Welcome back to the Vikings Central podcast. I got a guest here today, Leighton Glodek. How we do, Leighton?
Good. How are you doing, Brett?
I'm doing great. We had a little bit of
Awesome.
conversation here before you got on. Leighton runs a little bit of a network here, social media, does some video work for Strictly Football. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Leighton?
Yeah, for sure. So my buddies and I just started it in December. They've been running a basketball account called Strictly B-Ball. Pretty big on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So we started up Strictly Football, basically just doing football storytelling on pretty much all levels of football, NFL, college, mostly high school stuff. It's been pretty successful since the start of December
Awesome.
there when we started, and it's been going pretty good. So we're not on Twitter, but we are on pretty much everything else. So
Cool. Great deal.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Anytime you can get more football content out. I mean, I love it,
yeah,
and I'm sure everyone's listening loves it too. So
for
that's
sure, for
awesome,
sure.
man. So find those guys, give them a follow. And yeah, that's awesome, man. Just wanted to get Leighton on here to talk a little football. We're mostly going to talk quarterbacks this episode because that's been the big talker the last 24 hours at least. I mean, it's been a
Yep,
big talker all off season, but um, some big names kind of been tossing up ideas. Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. So just kind of want to see what your mindset is on that, Leighton. And I guess we'll start with the big one. I forgot his name, but it was a writer from the Draft Network, so a really big, you know,
hmm
mock draft site. They predicted that Minnesota was going to make a blockbuster deal, trading up
yep,
all the way to number two. They didn't do the compensation or anything like that, but I'm guessing it's going to take at least two or three future first rounders. It's going to be a
for sure.
lot of draft compensation to get all the way up to number two with Houston. But they had us going all the way up, and it's kind of a name that we wouldn't expect. Okay, maybe C.J. Stroud, maybe Anthony Richardson, but they went all the way up to Will Levis.
Yeah,
What do you think about that, Leighton?
I think so. My mindset right now is I'm almost guaranteeing the Vikings will take a quarterback in the first round, just with the whole Kirk Cousins situation, how they chose to not extend him. I don't think Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi want to put their jobs in Kirk Cousins' hands. I think if they draft a quarterback, he can sit behind Kirk for a year and then they can throw him out there. I mean, and even if it doesn't succeed at first, they can still kind of fall back on that. Well, give them a couple years, and that kind of extends
Exactly.
their jobs a little bit.
Yep.
Um, and I think just the way the NFL works now is it's build the rest of the team and then plug and play quarterback when you're ready to win a Super Bowl instead of kind of the other way around just the way the contracts work nowadays.
Sure.
So I think it's almost guaranteed the Vikings are going to take a quarterback in the first round. Jumping from 23 to 2 is I mean that's almost unheard of. Is
Yeah.
that's I like you said, the compensation wasn't even in the article because I don't even think there would be anything comparable to going from 23 to 2
Right.
um, in any other recent drafts. I I don't know if they need to go to 2 though. I mean, if they like other players, which I think they do. I mean, Bryce Young is obviously the first overall pick.
Yeah.
But I'm not even convinced Houston's going to take a quarterback second. So I don't know. And then I guess it all shakes out on what the Cardinals do, but the Cardinals aren't going to take quarterback. That pick is obviously up for sale.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of different options, but I feel like going to number two is just unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean the only reason I could see them going up to number 2, I agree with you, that's just out of this world going from 23 to 20 or from 23 to 2.
hmm
Usually when a team jumps up to number 2, they're maybe moving from like the 9th, 10th, 11th pick in the draft or
Right.
something like that. But going from 23 to 2 is a huge jump. The only reason I could see them maybe doing that is if they're absolutely in love with Will Levis, and I don't know that
hmm
they are because they
hmm
got to jump the Colts. Then it makes sense
Right.
to jump the Colts because the Colts have been pretty hot on the Will Levis train. So that's the only reason I could see them jumping to 2. But if they're in need of any other quarterback, I could see them maybe waiting just to see how the first couple picks play out and then make their move.
Yep.
But I don't know. it's it's
Yeah,
it's
I
really
don't.
hard to say.
Yeah,
But
I mean, jumping 21 picks is so you think about what the Panthers had to do jumping from 8 to 1 with multiple first round picks, a very good player in DJ Moore, and that's just from 8 to 1. That's 7 spots, and I get that it's
exactly,
the number one pick, but still, I mean, it almost feels like the number two pick is the number one pick right now, just because like
yeah,
Bryce
for
Young is
sure.
gone, and we all know that. So it's like you already know what you're getting with the second overall pick. Is that it's everyone in the field except Bryce Young, and I I mean I'm pretty sold on Bryce Young. I think he'll be pretty good. I think he's the safest option. Obviously, I think
Sure.
Anthony Richardson has the highest ceiling, but he's the
Yeah,
biggest risk.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, going from 23 to 2 is just it's very hard to believe that that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Anthony Richardson because that was another guy that the Vikings got kind of mocked jumping up for, and that was in Chad
Hmm.
Reuter's mock draft on NFL.com, and he had them jumping up to like pick number 14. So that's probably a more plausible situation I could see
Yes.
happening if
Yep.
Richardson falls into the teens. I don't even know if you have to give up a future first to jump up 9 spots. I mean, maybe,
Right.
um,
Maybe. Yeah.
but
Yeah. I think it
I
depends on
think
how the
that's more
draft
plausible.
goes. And yeah, I think it depends on how the draft goes. I honestly don't think the Vikings will make a move before the draft. And then as
Sure,
soon as they see someone fall, I think that's when they'll make their move. But unless you're moving into the top five, like you're not guaranteed a, a top quarterback that you want.
for sure.
And if you were to end up in the teens and all those top four quarterbacks are gone, then you're drafting probably Hendon Hooker, and you honestly probably could have stayed at 23 to draft him.
Exactly.
So
Yep. Yeah, it's it's gonna be an interesting night for sure on Thursday.
it is. It's going to be very
I,
suspenseful. I definitely think they're going to stir the pot, though. I definitely think they're going to
yeah,
do
oh,
something.
I think so too. That's kind of been the feeling around the league anyway. I mean, they've been mentioned a
Hmm.
lot,
Yes.
doing quarterback homework and everything like that. So like you said, I think something's going to happen. It's just a matter of what and for who. We don't know who they're targeting. And I think Anthony Richardson makes the most sense because Kwesi's like he was in the stock market, he was on Wall Street. He wants
Yep.
that big, you know,
Yep.
risk and reward type of player. And
Yep.
if Anthony Richardson hits, that's a home run.
Yeah. It is. It is
But
for sure. And I mean,
yeah.
he's the pick that is going to be the told you so pick. Half the people are going to say I told you so. He was
Mhm.
easily the best quarterback in this draft. He should have won number one overall. And the other half of their people are going to be I told you so. He was an absolute bust and he
Yeah.
just didn't pan out. I really don't think. I mean, there is some middle ground for him, but it's definitely hard to see that middle
Right.
ground because it's either going to be he was way overdrafted or he was way underdrafted. So I would be would you be excited if the Vikings got Anthony Richardson?
I'd be over the moon. I mean, depending on
Yeah,
how much you have to move up, but like Chad Reuters on NFL.com, that's like my dream scenario right there. Anthony
really.
Richardson falls into the teens. We just move up a little bit to grab him. I think he's got all the tools to be a franchise quarterback and a really damn good one. And yeah, he
Yeah,
does have the highest bust potential probably.
right.
But I think I trust Kevin and I trust Kwesi until they prove me otherwise. I know their draft wasn't the greatest last year. They had some bad
Hmm.
luck with it too. But
Yeah,
I want to see Kevin O'Connell with a quarterback, and I think Anthony Richardson, like I said, has all the tools to be a franchise guy. So,
yeah.
um,
I think he
you
does
know,
too, and I think the way the Vikings roster is built to where it almost feels like they're punting this next season, and they're kind of
I
putting
kind of feel that too.
yeah, they're kind of putting all
Yeah,
their chips in for the next 2 to 3 years after that, to where they're signing young free agents and they're shipping older guys out who just haven't been producing, as in Eric Kendricks and Adam Thielen.
yeah,
And I think that you play out next year. I I winning the division, it's possible. I wouldn't be surprised
It
if they
is.
won it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they finished third. It's kind
Right.
of like that division is just not the NFC North is just not good right now. But
Right.
I think if you give a quarterback a year to sit behind Kirk, who's an intelligent quarterback, and Kevin O'Connell, who has a great system and can make it really easy on a quarterback, I definitely think Anthony Richardson could succeed in that system for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And like you said, they're setting this up for a future. They're setting all this up for a guy to sit behind Kirk Cousins for 1 year.
Yep.
It all makes sense that
Yep.
they want to draft his successor this year. Um,
Mhm.
I don't see them doing another short term contract with Kirk Cousins.
No.
I just see them drafting their successor this year for Kirk, and then they take over in 2024.
Yep.
And like you said, they're kind of punting on this season.
Right.
But like you said, kind of building for the future. They're going to have a bunch of cap room, 2024 and beyond, and it's going to set up good for a young quarterback. You got Justin Jefferson, obviously that's the most
Yep.
dynamic playmaker in the league
Yeah.
probably, and then you got T.J. Hawkinson. I'm sure is going to get extended. So
Yep.
young quarterbacks love tight ends, and then
Exactly.
and hopefully this defense can get going too.
Yep.
But I guess if we miss out on the top four, what's your thoughts on Hendon Hooker? Are you a fan? Are you kind of meh? Or are you like, no, do not take this
Yeah.
man?
I am I'm definitely meh, and I think
Yeah.
the only big reason that I'm meh is it's not the torn ACL because it torn ACLs aren't what they used to be. I feel like there's
No,
just
yeah.
the level of technology and the rehab and just how common they occur in the NFL and in the NBA and in all sports that everyone just kind of knows the rehab and everyone knows how to how to do it. It's just the age that really he's just an older player in the draft and it's okay, so he sits for a year, he plays really good the next 3 years. So then what? He's almost 30 years old to when we're signing him to his next big contract, or he's
Sure.
28, 29. And that
Yep.
and I don't mind that, but it's just I don't know. It just seems like his prime is really condensed into
Sure.
4 to 5 years to where if it's a younger guy, it could be, 7 to 8 almost.
Yeah. I mean, if you draft Anthony Richardson, he's getting his second contract at Hendon Hooker's age right now.
Yeah,
And
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
and that's super important in today's age, and especially with a guy like Anthony Richardson to where he's gonna get beat up, and, the younger he is, the more he has an opportunity to get back from injuries, so, if
Right.
Hendon Hooker is older and he's more fragile and he's more of a pocket passer and he's not moving around, it's I don't know, I don't know if it'd be worth it to be a first round pick at 23. I
Yeah.
I mean, if we don't draft him at 23, I could see him falling midway through the second round, just someone just not really wanting to take a chance on him.
Yeah. He kind of reminds me of like Malik Willis a little bit last year.
Mhm.
Like he was getting all the steam all of a sudden that he's gonna be a
Yep,
first round pick. Or
yep.
this guy's for sure going to be a first round pick, getting mocked all over the first round, and then he falls to the third round.
Right,
So I kind of feel
right.
like that could be a possibility for Hendon Hooker if no one pulls the trigger. Like
Yep.
if he doesn't get drafted in the first, he's going to start falling
Yeah,
because
for
I feel
sure.
like the reason that someone would go for Hendon Hooker, they get that fifth year option in the first round.
Right.
Um, so and I'm higher on Hooker too than most people, but I wouldn't take him at 23. I don't think if we could
I
move
wouldn't
back
no.
and gain some more compensation, maybe. But
I wouldn't either,
yeah,
yeah. And I wouldn't either, and I really haven't looked at next year's projected quarterback class, but I mean, it's
sure.
obviously Caleb Williams is like the number 1 overall pick probably
Mm,
or projected to be right now. Um, but I mean, even if you pass on a quarterback this year, Kirk plays it out, decent roster, you finish middle of the pack, maybe you're sitting at pick 15, and then next year you want to jump up to take a quarterback in the top 10, then maybe you can do that too. It honestly all kind of depends on how Thursday rolls out. And I think if someone starts
right.
falling, they trade up and they get someone.
Mhm.
But I mean, if those quarterbacks are off the board in like the top 7 picks, I really doubt the Vikings are gonna to jump up to try and pick someone.
Yeah, it'd be hard to see that as well, unless Quincy does something crazy, which
Yeah,
which you never know. But
which he
I
could.
really don't see that happening. But
Yeah,
that's the
I don't
fun part
either.
about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I I really hope they take a quarterback in the first round, and if I had to put money on it, I would put money on them taking a
Sure.
quarterback in the first round, just the way things are playing out. And I really think Kevin O'Connell wants someone to sit behind Kirk for a year and to just develop, because it's just the way the NFL works now is it's just if you put in a day one rookie quarterback starter, they really don't. I mean, it just seems very underwhelming. They might be doing a
Mhm.
really good job compared to their peers as rookies, but it just seems
Yeah.
underwhelming, and it's just
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it's really tough to go from college to the NFL in just a matter of months and to try and perform at a very high level. So
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like the percentages on that, like how many quarterbacks are successful after they like, sit behind like a starter for 1 to 2 years, other than starting right away. Because I always think of like Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, that's the huge one, but he sat
yeah,
behind Alex Smith for like a full season,
right.
and
Yeah.
I
And I
mean
think
that'd
it
be best
really
case scenario. But
yeah, no, for sure. I really think it depends on the situation too, because I think any of these quarterbacks could go to Houston, and I don't think they would succeed at all. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna bring them above 7 wins. I don't think anyone's gonna be that
right,
magical. I mean, you put Mahomes on the Texans, and they're they might make the playoffs, but I mean, they're not gonna do anything crazy. I mean, and that's with Mahomes' level, let
yeah,
alone a rookie quarterback. I just think it's all about the situation, and honestly, if I was a rookie quarterback, I would love to be in the Viking situation.
oh
Just
for sure,
the way the roster is with Jefferson and Hawkinson and being able to sit behind someone for a year and a brand new coaching staff. I think that's a really good opportunity for a rookie quarterback coming into the league.
for sure. Yeah, I think it's an ideal situation, for sure. I got one more question here for you, Leighton.
Sure.
So say that situation we were talking about, all those top four quarterbacks get selected pretty much in the top 7, 8 picks. The
Yep.
Vikings don't make a move. Is there any mid to late round quarterbacks that you're kind of a fan of at all, or what do you kind of think there?
Mid to late round. See, I'm not so
I'm
like
like a
you could
fan of
take a
like. Go ahead. Sorry.
go well, I was gonna say like I just like Dorian Thompson Robinson, like really
Yeah.
late round, very low risk. Just,
Sure.
I mean, he's a winner at UCLA. I
Hmm.
mean, he gave it his all. He put his heart on his sleeve, and he really wanted to win for that team. And I
Yeah.
think that would be. I mean, that's like seventh rounder pick, like
Hmm.
very low risk. Um, I've been kind of high on him. The kid from Stanford, I'm forgetting his name. He's been slinging it
Tanner
around.
McKee.
Yep,
Yeah.
Tanner McKee.
Yeah.
He's been looking good too. I think it all kind of depends on where he falls, though.
Yeah.
I could see someone drafting him early-ish, but then I could see him falling as well. So I think it all
Sure.
depends. But I think if the Vikings are planning on going a quarterback, they definitely want to do it in the first round, and I
Agreed.
don't think they'd want to do a later round to just kind of take a shot in the dark. So
Yeah. No, agreed. In one of my mock drafts, I took Tanner McKee, and I just got roasted on Twitter. I don't know what it is about it,
really,
but I took him in like the fourth round, and and I just
oh
got
yeah, that's
roasted.
I would not
Yeah.
be upset about that at all. I mean, it's a fourth round pick. In my opinion, anything after the third round in the NFL draft is just they're just
Yeah.
shots in the dark. I mean,
Yeah.
anything could happen.
Essentially.
It's they're still worth a pick and there's still scouting involved, but it's just like it could be anywhere from a complete bust to like Stefan Diggs in the fifth round.
Yeah.
It's you have no idea what you're gonna get. So
Exactly. And I kind of like that part of it too, because you just never
yeah,
know with these guys. I mean,
for
that's the
sure.
fun of draft season, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
But
It's a lot
yeah,
about personalities, and I feel like a lot of guys when they get to the league, they're just like, "All right, I made it, and now it's
yep,
I did all I needed to do." And some
essentially.
guys like Stefan Diggs are like fighting for their lives, and they get paid max deals because of that. So yeah,
No, it's definitely a mindset for sure,
yeah,
for sure. Well, Leighton, I really appreciate you joining me, man. We're
Yeah, I appreciate
recording
having
this
me
at like
on.
11 o'clock. So
Yeah,
I appreciate you hopping on. We'll
for
get you
sure,
on
man.
again for sure sometime, man, if that works for
Yeah,
you.
let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks again, Leighton.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.
Yep. Yep. Take care.